Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again in this YouTube astrological segment. I'm going to be talking about Uranus in the 12th house in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the Uranus placements in the houses that were a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing, well, Uranus in the 12th house is comparable to Uranus in Pisces, but you've got to blend in the zodiac sign with it naturally. So Uranus in Pisces in the 12th house can be different than, say, Uranus in Virgo in the 12th house, as an example. Uranus is connected with our goals, our aspirations, our aims, and objectives. So if you have Uranus in the 12th house, well, those goals and aspirations may be tied into spirituality or the metaphysical, which includes astrology, and some other things could be poetry, dancing, photography, anesthesiology, chemistry. You may often pursue goals and aspirations in solitude, seclusion, in isolation. You may prefer to pursue them by yourself as opposed to being around, other people. Maybe it's through an online course, as an example. And it could be too where, the goals and aspirations, there may be some limitations for whatever reason in matters with that, whether it's a physical related issue or what have you. And another thing this, about Uranus, it's also associated with our future. So if you have Uranus in the 12th house, well, the future, at times may appear nebulous or unclear. There may be some kind of restriction or limitation in matters with the future. The future may be tied into the less fortunate, which includes the impoverished, the hungry, the oppressed, the homeless, and also may be tied into the metaphysical, which includes astrology. And also some other things could be paranormal, or helping people that have mental health issues. It could be doing something with chemistry, or working in some kind of compassionate caregiving field, or something which expresses compassion and altruism, being a medium, something that uses intuitive ability. And another thing about and also the 12th house, the solitude and seclusion. So this is a time you may often ponder your future in solitude or seclusion, or it may be tied into isolation somehow. Uranus is also connected with freedom and independence. So if you have Uranus in the 12th house, well, freedom and independence may be something you often dream and fantasize about. It may be tied into matters, with isolation, solitude, or seclusion. It may be the freedom to escape when necessary, to be by yourself, to isolate. It could be to meditate. And the freedom, just to be careful though, I would say with this placement, freedom related issues may also be tied into the self-undoing, such as wanting to be overly independent in everything. And that could even include doing something at work, as an example, being not, sometimes it could be not listening to authority. Keep in mind, Uranus is also connected, with rebelliousness. So, it's something just to be careful of if you have this placement in your chart. And also, freedom-related issues may be expressed with an aunt or uncle as well. Now, Uranus in astrology is also associated with unusual growths or protrusions, like tumors. So, keep in mind the 12th house does correspond with the zodiac sign Pisces. So, there may be certain propensity to have, some, unusual growth, by the feet, the toes, the pineal gland, if that is, possible. And unusual growths may be somewhat nebulous or obscure. They might be hard to, either decipher or diagnose. They may be something that you would fear more so than most people. Um, it might be tied in to matters with solitude and seclusion. You may, desire, if you have in a remote chance, if you do have, some kind of unusual growth or tumor, maybe it leads you to become more isolated. Uh, it could also be, it's something that you may desire to keep hidden more so than most people, and even associated with secret sorrows in some cases. Now, Uranus in astrology is also associated with friends and acquaintances. So if you have Uranus in the 12th house in your chart, it could also be, it could be too, where your friends and acquaintances, maybe people that are rather passive, they might be reclusive, or people that are very compassionate, altruistic, but there also may be limitations and restrictions in these matters as well. It could be, friends and acquaintances may also be deceptive and duplicitous, but very idealistic. Maybe they play some role in terms of your, restrictions and limitations. Maybe they're somehow beneficial in these matters, or maybe to some degree, maybe they impact them more, adversely. It could be too where, some of these people may also be people that are addicted, that have some kind of addiction as well, but can be very, idealistic. At the same time, but these people may also be tied into secret sorrows. Uranus in astrology is also associated with groups, clubs, and organizations. So if you have Uranus in the 12th house, well, these groups, clubs, and organizations may be connected with people that are spiritual or the metaphysical, which includes astrology, the paranormal. It could be something with dancing, poetry, photography, dreams. The thing too is maybe it's even tied into prison work. Doesn't mean you're incarcerated necessarily, but people do have jobs, positions. I'm sure there's organizations connected with people that do some kind of prison work, whether it's actual physical labor or they're ministering to others there, as some examples. And the thing is, the groups, clubs, and organizations, people prominent there may be very compassionate, but also may be deceptive and duplicitous as well. Uranus is also connected with innovation and ingenuity. So if you have this placement, well, you may express it somehow with, with chemistry or vapors, such as, like an innovative vaporizer, as an example of something with fishing. Designing or creating, unique fishing, ingenious fishing equipment, or being an innovator in photography, oceanography, as some examples. Innovative ideas may be often expressed with an aunt or an uncle, or even people that figure prominently in their private life. It may be too, or maybe there's some limitations in these matters, whether it's the actual ability to innovate, or whether there's some fear in expressing these unique or innovative ideas, whether it's a fear excuse me, of being ridiculed and mocked for it, as an example, or some other reason. Uranus is also associated with things that are unexpected, unpredictable, and shocking. So if you have this placement, these are things that you may fear more so than the average person. It could even be, a debilitated, significant other. Keep in mind, this is 6 houses from the 7th, so that's why the 12th house can be associated with that. Matters that are, connected with solitude, seclusion, isolation, you may experience more disruptions in those matters, more so than the average person. It could be hidden adversaries may come, may either be discovered very unexpectedly, or, whether they're found out quickly, in a way that's very shocking, or could be people that you would never suspect was secretly an enemy. It could be matters with betrayal or deception or even chaos that may enter your life. Now, displacement also can indicate some kind of very unusual dreams, whether it's actually literally dreaming, or whether you're dreaming or fantasizing about things. And it could also be the dreams doing something Uranus related, whether it's being an innovator, being an astrology, doing something astrology, astronomy, altruism, aviation, meteorology, as some examples. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Learnard saying, stay well.